I used to think memorizing things was a total waste of time. I mean, why bother when you have all of human knowledge right here in your pocket? If I needed a fact, a date, or a formula, I'd just Google it. It seemed like the ultimate productivity hack, the logical conclusion of our tech-fueled evolution. We'd outsourced manual labor to machines, so why not outsource mental labor too? But then I started noticing a strange pattern among the smartest, most creative people I know. We're talking programmers, doctors, artists, entrepreneurs. They were all obsessed with this skill I had dismissed as useless, and they were using it to solve problems and connect ideas faster and more powerfully than any machine I'd ever seen. They weren't just recalling information, they were wielding it, bending it, and building new realities with it. It turns out we've been sold a bit of a lie about what memorization is actually for. It's not about turning your brain into a dusty, searchable database of trivia. It's about building the very architecture of your own intelligence. Section 1. The Great Cognitive Lie, Why We Ditched Memory. Let's be honest, the promise of forgetting is seductive. The idea that you can free up your mind by letting a device do the remembering for you feels like a superpower. Neuroscientists call this cognitive offloading, using an external tool to reduce the mental load on your brain. A shopping list is the classic version, a GPS is the modern one, and using a search engine to answer any question that pops into your head is the version we've all mastered. On the surface, the logic is perfect. Why waste precious mental energy storing information when you can just access it on demand? It feels efficient. It feels like progress. We've been told this frees up our brains for higher order tasks like creativity and critical thinking. But here's the flaw in that logic, a problem backed by a growing pile of research. What if the act of building your internal memory is what enables higher order thinking in the first place? A landmark 2011 study by Betsy Sparrow at Columbia University revealed something fascinating about this Google effect. When people know they can easily find information online, they don't remember the information itself. Instead, they remember where to find it. Your brain doesn't log the fact, it logs the path to the fact. We've all felt this. You look up the capital of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. You use it in a sentence, win the argument, feel smart. An hour later, poof, it's gone. The information was never processed, never integrated. It was a phantom, a temporary visitor that left no trace. You didn't learn something, you just performed a lookup. For many of us, this allergy to memorization is rooted in school trauma. We remember endless nights cramming historical dates or biological terms, only to have them vanish after the exam. It felt pointless. That system taught us to associate memorization with rote, mindless repetition. And it's true that modern education is rightly shifting away from that kind of learning. But what the smartest people I know understand is that this is a huge misunderstanding of the skill. They aren't engaged in rote memorization. They're engaged in the conscious, deliberate construction of knowledge. Section 2, the paradox of the expert mind. This is where the paradox kicks in. The people at the absolute cutting edge of their fields, the ones who should, in theory, be the most reliant on external tools, are the most dedicated to internalizing knowledge. Watch an expert programmer at work. They aren't Googling basic syntax every 5 minutes. The language just flows. Listen to a seasoned doctor diagnose a complex illness. They're not just plugging symptoms into a web form. They're pattern matching against a vast internalized library of cases, studies, and anatomical knowledge. They have achieved what cognitive psychologists call automaticity. Automaticity is the ability to do something without even thinking about it. It's the basketball player dribbling without looking at the ball, their mind free to scan the court and plan their next move. By mastering the fundamentals to the point of unconscious competence, experts free up their limited working memory to grapple with the truly complex new parts of a problem. A novice driver is thinking about the clutch, the gas, the wheel. An expert driver is thinking about what the car 3 moves ahead is going to do. This isn't just about being faster, it's about thinking differently. The knowledge they've memorized isn't a static collection of facts. It has formed a rich, interconnected mental framework called a schema. A schema is like a mental blueprint, where new information can be instantly filed and connected to everything you already know. Someone without a well-developed schema is just piling facts on the floor. There's no structure, no context, no way to see the bigger picture. Think of it like this. Building expertise is like building a workshop. A novice who relies on cognitive offloading is like a builder with no tools. Every time they need to hammer a nail, they have to stop, go online, order a hammer, wait for it to arrive, use it once, and then it vanishes. Their project will be slow and shallow. An expert, on the other hand, has spent years curating their workshop. The tools are on the wall, sorted and ready. When a new problem comes up, they walk in, grab what they need, and even combine tools in novel ways to create something entirely new. Their internalized knowledge isn't a burden, it's a launch pad for creativity. Section 3, the science of building a better brain. So what's actually happening in the brain when we commit something to memory? One of the most important concepts is that our brains are basically prediction machines. They constantly build models of the world and make guesses about what will happen next. Real learning happens when there's a mismatch, an error, between your prediction and what actually happens. That error signal forces your brain to update its model. But here's the key. To have a prediction error, you first have to make a prediction. If you never internalize anything and always just look up the answer, your brain never makes a prediction. It never gets the chance to be wrong, and therefore it never truly learns. If you've memorized that 8 times 7 is 56, and a calculator gives you a different answer, your brain flags a mismatch. You feel that something is off. But if you have no internalized multiplication tables, the calculator's answer is just a fact with no context. You have no model to test it against. You've offloaded the calculation, but you've also offloaded the chance to learn. This is why study techniques based on active recall are so much more effective than passively rereading. Passively reviewing your notes creates an illusion of competence. The information feels familiar, so you think you know it. But active recall, forcing your brain to retrieve information without looking, is a cognitive struggle. That struggle is the workout. It's what strengthens the neural pathways. One famous study by Karpik and Roediger found that students using active recall retained around 80% of material, compared to just 30% for those who only reviewed it. Other research has shown it can lead to exam scores that are up to 20% higher. And this isn't just about passing tests. The changes are physically measurable. One of the most powerful memorization techniques is the method of loci, or the memory palace. It involves visualizing a familiar place and placing information you want to remember at different locations along a mental walk. It sounds bizarre, but a fascinating 2017 study published in the journal Neuron showed just how powerful it is. Researchers took a group of normal people and gave them 6 weeks of training in the method of loci. Their memory performance skyrocketed, nearly reaching the level of world-class memory champions. But the incredible part was what happened to their brains. Functional MRI scans showed that their brain connectivity patterns had physically reorganized to more closely resemble those of the elite memorizers. And these changes were still there 4 months later. They didn't just learn a trick, they had rewired their brains. Section 4, the toolkit of the modern memorizer. So how do the smartest people I know actually do this? They don't have magic brains. They just use better techniques. They've moved beyond the brute force repetition we hated in school and embraced smarter methods. Here's their toolkit. First, deliberate repetition for automaticity. This is not the mindless rote learning from our childhoods. This is the targeted, conscious practice of a skill's absolute fundamentals until they become effortless. If you're learning a language, it's drilling the 200 most common words until you can speak them without thinking. If you're coding, it's writing basic loops until the syntax is as natural as breathing. The goal is to drive the foundational elements of a skill into your fast, intuitive, procedural memory system, freeing up your conscious mind for the creative work. Second, active recall and spaced repetition. As we've seen, active recall is the engine of memory. It's the difference between reading a map and actually navigating the city. The most efficient way to use it is with a system of spaced repetition. The principle is simple. You test yourself on new information at increasing intervals. After a day, then 3 days, then a week, and so on. This works by strategically interrupting the forgetting curve, forcing you to retrieve a memory just as it's about to fade. That effortful retrieval tells your brain, hey, this is important, and makes the memory stick. Tools like Anki or even physical flashcards are perfect for this. Third, the method of Loci, the memory palace. This is the heavy-duty tool for memorizing large sets of information. It sounds like something from a fantasy novel, but it's a powerful technique used by everyone, from ancient orators to modern doctors memorizing anatomy. Choose a place you know intimately, your home, your walk to work. Take the items you want to remember and turn them into vivid, strange images. Then mentally place those images at specific spots along your route. To recall the information, you just take a mental stroll and see what you put there. By linking boring data to your brain's powerful visual and spatial memory systems, you create incredibly durable memories. Finally, the overarching goal: schema building. The point of all these techniques isn't just to hoard facts, it's to build that rich, interconnected web of knowledge. When you learn something new, don't treat it as an isolated piece of data. Actively ask yourself, how does this connect to what I already know? What are the core principles here? By focusing on the fundamentals first, you create a sturdy trunk and main branches. Then, every new fact becomes a leaf on that tree, strengthening the whole structure. A person with a well-developed schema doesn't just know things, they understand them. CTA. If this idea of actively building your knowledge resonates with you, let me know in the comments. What is the one skill or topic you'd want to master with these techniques? And if you're enjoying this look into how we learn, hitting that subscribe button ensures you won't miss future videos that challenge the way we think about thinking. Conclusion: beyond memorization, the future of thought. So we were told a lie. Not a malicious one, but a misunderstanding. We were led to believe that in the age of intelligent machines, our minds could afford to become clean interfaces for external knowledge. But the evidence is clear. Knowledge isn't just something you look up, it's something you build. The act of memorization isn't the tedious storage of dead facts. It is the dynamic biological process of weaving a tapestry of understanding inside your brain. This internal tapestry is the prerequisite for expertise, for rapid problem solving, and for the kind of creativity that connects ideas in ways no one else sees. This isn't an argument against technology, it's an argument for using it wisely. AI and search engines shouldn't be used to replace our cognitive abilities, but to augment them. And who is best equipped to be augmented? The person who already has a deep, internalized knowledge base. They can ask better questions, spot errors in the answers, and synthesize machine-generated information in truly novel ways. A novice with an AI is still a novice. An expert with an AI is something else entirely. The great irony is that in a world drowning in information, the knowledge we carry inside our own heads is more valuable than ever. It's the framework that lets us find the signal in the noise and think critically in a world that won't always give you time to Google the answer. The real power of our new tools isn't that they let us forget, it's that they free us up to remember what truly matters.